Hey there, happy Friday. Welcome back to the podcast. My podcast, the Sasha Davis Podcast. Oh, that has a nice ring to it. 3 years strong on this podcast. That is something to celebrate. Wow. I'm just going to let that sink in for a minute. Something that you just never thought would happen all of a sudden is 3 years in. Everything in life begins with a thought. Everything in life begins with a thought, followed by action, which leads me to what I want to talk about on today's podcast. And that is the concept of pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. I've talked about budgeting on here before, and so this concept means every Friday I pay myself first, and then I pay my bills, or my quote IBARs, invoices for blessings already received. And then if I have money left over, I will spend it accordingly, whether that's buying makeup or clothes or a new whatever. Not the other way around. I don't go splurging and then save money after the fact. I save money up front and then spend what's left over. This was a new concept for me a few years ago when somebody had taught me, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't have enough money to save. There's no way I can make that happen. There's more month than money. But I want to challenge your thought on budgeting and paying yourself first by sitting down and saying, I'm going to allocate this much money per week, per month, per year to a savings, to my retirement, to my future self, to my investment in myself, whatever that looks like for you. Because let me tell you, wealthy people don't become wealthy. People with money don't continue to have money if they spend it all first. You have to set some aside and pay yourself. You have to build that net worth. You have to pay off debt. You have to create that positive net worth. If I asked you today what your net worth is, meaning literally all of your assets minus any debts, like what is yours? Say you sold off everything that you have and you added up all your stocks, bonds, mutual funds, 401ks, etc., etc. What would that number be? Would that be a positive number or would that be a negative number? A lot of times when we look at our net worth, we're not... I know the first time I looked at my net worth like 5 or 7 years ago, and I was like, wait a minute, that number's supposed to be way bigger than that. But I think we have a skewed perception on what saving money or setting aside of money really looks like. And this isn't just going to happen automatically. Your 401k or your employer is not going to just magically save money for you. Hell, that's hardly going to be enough. Like, think how much you have in retirement or in savings right now and ask yourself, if you had to retire tomorrow, how would you feel about that number? And I know a lot of you may be listening to this and say like, oh, retirement is so far off, or I'm okay, everything's fine. Like, I don't need an emergency fund. I don't need to have a savings account, blah, 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 blah. But wouldn't it be nice just to have like $10,000 in your account that you could be like, okay, if I needed to use this, it was there, versus scrambling and saying, how am I going to come up with this money? How am I going to come up with this money? And how you start to build that, say, 500 extra bucks, 1,000 extra bucks, 10,000 extra bucks, 100,000 extra bucks, is you start today. You start every Friday. This is part of my budgeting routine. Every Friday, I literally have a reminder in my phone, a calendar event that says, pay yourself first and budget. So what that looks like is I have a number in my head that I want to set aside every week, every month, every year, because I have goals. I have financial goals. I never used to. I thought that having financial goals just meant that, you know, my 401k would take care of me and my employer would take care of me. And guess what? I don't have a quote unquote employer anymore. I have to contribute to my own retirement. I don't have somebody automatically doing it in the back end for me. I don't have anybody just automatically saving money for me. I have to take that into control, and I have to do that. And how do I do that? I have to pay myself first and then spend the money. And if you find that you don't have any money left to spend, then you need to reevaluate your budget. You need to look at it and say, what are true expenses? What are true things, true necessities? And I'm telling you that you should be a necessity. Netflix should not. Dish Network should not. Hell, sometimes we drive these really fancy freaking cars that we can't afford. Those are not necessities. Can you really afford a $900 car payment each month? Yes or no? Or even a $500 car payment or a $200 car payment. Like, you have to know without any doubt what you can or cannot budget for. Okay? It should not be this like guessing game, like, oh, I think I can swing it. I did that for a really long time, and my savings account showed it. There was no savings, like, at all. And so I wanted to change my story. And so how did I do that? I had to get super uncomfortable and actually start setting aside money. And so every Friday, it literally started with like $5. Actually, I still think that I have an auto thing that goes through that puts $10 in an account every Friday. It's been doing it for years. Just $10, $10, $10, $10. I have a lot more automations now that I do. And I put those in as monthly expenses, just like you would a bill. Like, you wouldn't miss a water bill. You wouldn't miss a mortgage payment. Why are you missing paying yourself, your future self? Like, this should be a no-brainer. Yet so many of us walk around with no savings and no money for our future. We just hope one day that we're going to make more money. It's going to magically appear. And that's bullshit. It's never going to magically appear. And the sooner you start, the better off you will be when you're older, when that time comes. And people are living longer nowadays. Like, when the retirement age was at 65, people were only anticipated to live to be in their 70s. Hell, people are living to be well into their 80s, 90s, and 100s now. So just think, by the time you're 65, what's going to happen? You're probably going to start a second career. That is a real thing. There's people now who are starting their second careers. Hang on. I had to turn up the volume on my baby monitor. The kiddos are sleeping right now. It's a miracle that they're both sleeping at the same time. If you have young kids, you know how much of a blessing it is when you can get both kids laid down for a nap at the same time and they actually stay asleep. So I am taking advantage of this time and getting a little bit more me time in, recording a podcast and getting caught up on some emails. Anyways, back to your future financial self and paying yourself first. So put it in perspective. Where are you going to be when you're 65? Do you think you're just going to like retire off a few $100,000 and just sit around and not do anything? Reality check. You're going to be really, really fucking bored if you do. And you're going to run out of money very fast, because what do we do when we're just sitting around twiddling our thumbs? We spend money. That's what we do. That's probably what a lot of you have been doing. If you're off work, you're just like surfing Amazon and buying things that you don't really need or that you wouldn't normally buy. So I want to ask you, is that an intentional purchase, or are you just mindlessly scrolling, trying to fire off those dopamine levels that say immediate gratification, immediate gratification, immediate gratification. Oh, I feel great. And then all of a sudden it's gone. Oh, I feel great. And then it's gone. It's like an addiction. It's like smoking a cigarette. You smoke a cigarette, you're like, oh man, I feel so great. And then it wears off, or it's like drinking a beer, like, oh, this buzz feels great. And then it wears off. So then you drink another one, right? Shopping can be an addiction. That's where you get those hits where you're like, okay, I'm going to keep spending. I'm going to keep spending. I'm going to keep spending. What if you flip the script and every time you saved money, like literally put money aside in an account that you don't touch, you got that same dopamine hit, like, ooh, I'm building my net worth. I'm building my net worth. I'm saving for my future self. I'm investing in my future. It doesn't sound as sexy as buying a brand new car or that new pair of jeans that make your butt look great or new swimsuit or XYZ. But I'm telling you, your future self will thank you. So try to embody this concept of pay yourself first. And even if you just start saving $1 a week, $5 a week, $10 a week, increase as needed, but make it a habit. Make it a habit to save for you, to invest in you, so that someday, if you do want to, I don't know, take 6 months off of work or not work for 4 years, you have the money to do so and you don't have to stress about it. Start small and work your way up. Pay yourself first. That is my Financial Friday budgeting tip for you. I just totally made that up, but it has really helped me change my mindset around money. And if you find that you're like, I have no idea where to start, I can help. This is my jam, guys. So just message me on Instagram, sasha.davis, or send me an email at support@sashadavis.com. I'd be happy to just to walk you through, give you some pointers, some tips, some tricks, or even some products or services that might be beneficial to you. No harm in having a conversation about it. Anyways, pay yourself first, budget for your future self. Happy Friday. I'll talk to you later.